Get ready to witness a revelation that will challenge your perceptions and leave you astonished by the interwoven narratives of East and West. We're about to unravel the tapestry of history as we embark on a captivating journey to explore the ancient mysteries of Chinese, Japanese, and Korean origins through the lens of biblical proof. Let's all together discover the origins of Asians according to the Bible. What is the origin and who is the ancestral father of these people? Who in the Bible gave origin to the Asian people? The origins of different ethnic groups and nations have been a subject of fascination and study for millennia. For centuries, various cultures have developed their own creation narratives and historical accounts to explain their origins. The biblical account of human origins, as presented in the book of Genesis, holds immense significance in the widely known Judeo-Christian tradition. According to this narrative, God, the creator of the universe, fashioned the entire cosmos, including the earth and everything in it, over a period of 6 days. On the sixth day, God created the pinnacle of His creation, humankind. The Bible teaches that God formed the first human being, Adam, from the dust of the ground and breathed the breath of life into his nostrils, making him a living being. Subsequently, God created Eve, the first woman, from one of Adam's ribs. Thus, Adam and Eve became the progenitors of the entire human race. The notion that the Chinese, Japanese, and Koreans, among all other human beings, are considered descendants of Adam and Eve is rooted in the biblical concept of the unity of humanity. According to the Bible, all humans share a common origin and are part of the same human family. This idea of common ancestry underscores the interconnectedness of all people, irrespective of their ethnic, racial, or cultural differences. The belief in shared ancestry among the Chinese, Japanese, and Koreans aligns with the biblical principle that all humans are created in the image of God. This divine imprint bestows inherent value and dignity upon every individual, regardless of their nationality or ethnicity. It emphasizes the foundational truth that every human being is deserving of respect, love, and compassion, and should be treated as a bearer of God's likeness. As we dive into the biblical proof on the origins of Asians, we have prepared a certain number of biblical proofs that we will tackle for this video. Starting with biblical proof number 3. In the New Testament, the Apostle Paul echoes this concept of shared ancestry in his address to the Ephesians, Acts chapter 17, verse 26, where he proclaims that God made from one man every nation of mankind to live on all the face of the earth. This biblical perspective highlights the common roots of humanity and serves as a reminder that we are all part of a broader human family. Moving on to biblical proof number 2, where you will see the significance of East Asian origins within the story of the Tower of Babel. The story of the Tower of Babel, as described in Genesis chapter 11 verses 1 through 9, holds significant implications for the diversification of cultures, languages, and physical appearances among different nations, including the Chinese, Japanese, and Koreans from a biblical standpoint. In the aftermath of the Great Flood, humanity was unified by a common language and shared demographics in the land of Shinar. In their ambition to build a tower that would reach the heavens, the people displayed a spirit of defiance against God's plan and authority. Their desire to make a name for themselves and establish their own greatness led them to challenge the divine order. In response to this act of pride and rebellion, God intervened. God's response was to confuse the language of the people at the Tower of Babel. As a result, they could no longer understand one another, and communication became impossible. This linguistic confusion led to the dispersion of the people into different regions, each group forming its distinct culture and language. From a biblical perspective, the dispersion of the nations at the Tower of Babel serves as an explanation for the origins of the world's diverse cultures and languages. So from there on, you can begin to see how it provides a framework for understanding how our human ancestors gradually spread across the earth and developed unique identities based on their languages, geographical locations, and cultural practices. Concerning the Chinese, Japanese, and Koreans, this biblical narrative could be seen as a potential explanation for the differences observed in their respective cultures, languages, and physical appearances. As distinct groups formed and migrated to different regions, they adapted to their environments, leading to the emergence of diverse cultural expressions and languages. The dispersion at Babel also gives insight to how physical features and appearances might have diversified across different regions. As various groups moved to different parts of the world, they encountered different climates, landscapes, and living conditions. Over time, these environmental factors could have influenced certain physical traits and features, resulting in the diverse range of appearances we observe among different ethnic groups today. And finally, our biblical proof number 1 would be the descent of the Holy Spirit during Pentecost. The day of Pentecost, as recorded in Acts chapter 2, verses 1 through 12, marks a significant event in the New Testament, highlighting the beauty of cultural diversity and God's acceptance of people from various linguistic and cultural backgrounds. According to the narrative, on the day of Pentecost, the apostles were gathered together when suddenly the Holy Spirit descended upon them like tongues of fire. As a result, they were filled with the Spirit and began to speak in languages they had not previously known, but which were recognizable to the diverse crowd of people present in Jerusalem. The people in attendance hailed from different regions and nations, including Parthians, Medes, Elamites, residents of Mesopotamia, Judea, Cappadocia, Pontus, Asia, Phrygia, Pamphylia, Egypt, parts of Libya, Rome, Cretans, and Arabs. Despite their linguistic and cultural differences, they were all present to celebrate the Jewish festival of Pentecost. When the apostles spoke in various languages, the diverse crowd was astonished and amazed. Each person heard the apostles declaring the wonders of God in their own native tongue. This miraculous event emphasized God's desire for the gospel message to reach people from all nations, cultures, and languages. It demonstrated God's acceptance and celebration of cultural diversity, providing evidence that His love and salvation were not limited to a specific group of people, but were accessible to all. The day of Pentecost exemplifies how cultural distinctions and linguistic diversity are valued in God's creative design. Rather than homogenizing humanity, God chose to bless the world with a vast array of languages, cultures, and traditions. This diversity enriches human experiences and allows for a deeper appreciation of the multifaceted nature of God's creation. From a biblical perspective, the cultural uniqueness of the Chinese, Japanese, and Koreans, among other nations, is part of God's intentional design. These distinct cultures and languages are not accidental, but serve as expressions of humanity's creative capacity and reflect the beautiful diversity woven into the fabric of creation. This biblical view invites individuals and communities to celebrate and respect cultural differences rather than attempt to erase them. It encourages the spirit of inclusivity, where people from all walks of life are invited to participate in God's divine plan and receive His love and grace. The Bible's emphasis on the unity of human creation and the value of all individuals, irrespective of their cultural or national backgrounds, is a fundamental and unifying theme throughout its texts. While the Bible does not specifically address the origins of the Chinese, Japanese, or Koreans, its teachings offer profound insights that highlight the shared humanity and dignity of all people. As with any biblical interpretation, it is crucial to approach this account with a level of scholarly caution and respect for the cultural and historical contexts. It is not meant to endorse any notions of superiority or inferiority among different ethnic groups, but rather emphasizes the need for understanding, tolerance, and appreciation of diverse cultures and languages, celebrating the richness that such diversity brings to humanity as a whole. The biblical perspective of the origins of the Chinese, Japanese, and Koreans revolves around the common ancestry of all humanity, the dispersion of nations at the Tower of Babel, and God's acceptance of people from various linguistic and cultural backgrounds, as we mentioned earlier with the descent of the Holy Spirit during Pentecost, which emphasizes the unity, equality, and diversity of all human beings. From a biblical viewpoint, these East Asian ethnic groups, along with all other nations, share a common human heritage and all are valued as part of God's creation. Regardless of everything, as we seek to understand human origins, cultural diversity, and ethnic identities, it is essential to approach these subjects with respect, openness, and a desire to learn from one another's rich histories and experiences.